Our other major story tonight, a break in the Unabomber case. FBI agents are searching the Montana cabin of former mathematics professor Ted Kaczynski. Just moments ago, we received these pictures of the suspect in custody, sitting in the back of a white truck. He lives like a hermit near the town of Lincoln. He is in custody, but he has not been charged. Jay DeDapper is live in the newsroom with the very latest. Jay.
Well, Roz, at this point, the FBI has yet to uncover a smoking gun, any bomb parts or something like that, for example, that might conclusively link this 53-year-old recluse from Montana to the 18-year reign of terror caused by the Unabomber. He is not under arrest. Not yet. At least 20 FBI agents converged on the cabin near the remote town of Lincoln, Montana, just after noon today, looking for evidence that could solve the mystery of the Unabomber. Sources say the suspect is Theodore John Kaczynski, born 53 years ago in Chicago, a graduate of a suburban Chicago high school. He earned a bachelor's degree from Harvard, a doctorate in math from the University of Michigan, and was an associate professor of math at Berkeley from 1967 to 1969. After resigning that year, authorities believe he eventually ended up in Utah during the late 70s before finally settling in Montana about 10 years ago. Kaczynski's history appears to mirror some aspects of the Unabomber, whose 16 bombings began in the Chicago area, continued in Salt Lake City, and have since 1987 emanated from the San Francisco Bay Area. The Unabomber's devices have killed 3 since 1978, including New Jersey advertising executive Thomas Moser, who died while opening mail at his North Caldwell home in 1994. The FBI's new break came less than 2 months ago, after Kaczynski's family discovered old writings at his parents' Chicago house that seemed suspicious. They contacted a lawyer who called the FBI. The FBI then searched the Chicago house and, based on what they found, decided to raid Kaczynski's powerless, phoneless mountain cabin today. Now again, Kaczynski has not been arrested. He has been taken into custody, however. That is because the FBI wanted to search his cabin without any interference from him. So at this point, tonight, the FBI has yet to release any word as to what they have found in that search in that rustic cabin. Bill.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here, Cheap Pops Coast to Coast, Episode 2. This is Thomas, the Hitman Barnes, and I'm here with Roaring Ryan Shaw.
Whoa. Come on, man. No. The nicknames just are not going to work, dude.
Well, why not? What about... Okay, listen. Let's try this. El Diablo Ryan Shaw.
Dude, that's worse than the first one. Let's just
don't
stop.
like El Diablo?
No, let's just stop while we're at it. This
Damn.
This subject matter is a lot more serious, and let's just keep it that way.
I'm just trying to put you over, kid.
Nah, man, I'm gonna be me.
You're gonna be
Yeah, I'm gonna be me.
Fine, be you, asshole.
Yeah. What I do best.
Welcome back Hey, this week we're going to talk about another Super Kyle. We're going to talk about Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
Oh yeah, man, that guy right there. There's never been anything like that guy, and I don't think there ever will be again. That is just, I mean, the methods to his madness, evil genius, completely.
Oh, and this guy, he killed for years. I want to say 18 years.
Yeah, let's see. I'm looking at it now. 1978 to 1995, almost 20 years.
He went almost 20 years and didn't
Yeah.
get caught
Didn't get
because
caught.
he didn't kill anybody he personally knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would pick out. He was what they called an ecological terrorist.
Yes, eco-terrorist, and he's one of the earliest ones. And if you think about it, he wasn't caught. If his sister-in-law didn't turn him in,
He would have never been caught.
I don't think he would have ever been caught, or it would have took them even longer.
And he's been in the news lately because Netflix put out that great documentary.
Phenomenal. If you have not watched that, and this is all the listeners out there, watch it now. Unabomber, in his own words, incredible.
And the thing with Netflix is killing the documentaries.
Yes.
The Ted Bundy one.
Yes.
And the Unabomber.
The
of
Tiger
course.
King.
The Tiger King, Joe Exotic.
If you think about it, everybody thought Disney Plus was going to kill Netflix. It was over. And Netflix now is just, I mean, it's exponential how much their shares have grown on Wall Street. I mean, this is just a huge boom for them.
They
The
spend money on
documentary-
production.
Yes, they do.
Like, everything they do is done really, really well.
Yes.
It's clear, it's crisp, it's smooth,
Yes.
it's thought out, it's planned.
It is, and those true crime documentaries just they hook me in, and millions others. We just glued to the screens. It's amazing information. A lot of the Unabomber, or a lot of the info in this Unabomber documentary on Netflix, I had never heard before until that show.
Oh, even like, we'll start with the young Ted Kaczynski.
Oh yeah,
As a child, really young, he was forced to be separated because he had a sickness. I want to say it was polio.
yeah. I don't remember
Something
what the
like
illness
that?
was, but he was separated for, I believe, 3 months.
3 months from his mother and his
Yeah,
father and his
horrible,
family.
Horrible.
And at an early age, you're just like, why did my mom leave me here?
Yeah, and he was not allowed to be visited at the hospital for whatever reason. That was never explained.
Well, I think it was the sickness.
The sickness? That's
because
just-
it could spread.
You think they would have allowed them to look through a window at him or something, though? That's
But
just...
the world was different.
It
back
was
then.
different.
The world was a little bit more scared.
Yes.
I mean, we weren't as technologically advanced.
No.
So, with something like that, with those kind of sicknesses, and, being in a hospital with young children,
Yeah.
if parents come, they see that child obviously going to be upset when the parents leave them there again. It's going to cause the other children to kind of go crazy.
Yeah, with this guy, it was just the perfect storm. You had the separation from the parents, and when he came back to his family, he was withdrawn. He wouldn't smile in photos, really wouldn't show emotion.
Yeah,
And
they
then
said he never actually bonded with his mother and his father.
Never did after that. He was really cold. His brother said they had a good relationship, but he was distant. And then you go into the college years, and he had that experiment done on him at Harvard.
Yeah,
Unreal.
he had a really high IQ.
High IQ.
He was, which is common amongst the super Kyles.
Yes.
You have a high IQ. And, he went to Harvard,
Yes.
and then he participated in an experiment, which was basically CIA sanctioned, what would you call it? Torture.
Yes, it was mental.
Yes.
It was complete mental torture. And the guy that ran it, I don't remember his name now. I should have been better prepared for it. But the man that ran the project was heralded by the CIA. They loved that guy's
Like,
research.
they
They paid him for the research.
The interrogation techniques that they learned there at Harvard
Yes.
is still used today
Yes.
in modern interrogations, dealing with terrorists.
Highly unethical, by the way.
And basically what they did, with they found guys like young Kaczynski, who are very smart. And you can tell that they're kind of socially awkward. They don't have girlfriends.
No.
Their life is, to study, to do this, to do that. And so you take these kids and you see how far you can go to break them.
Yes.
But with Kaczynski, he wasn't the kind of guy that wanted to be broken. He fought it.
He did. He fought it. And I would assume that he fought it more admirably than 98% of the subjects that were involved in that experiment. And if you listen to the audio on that documentary, a lot of the audio is super poor, so it does help to watch the documentary because they subtitle it. But you can hear his anger in some of the questions. He wouldn't break. This guy would not break, and I think they broke him internally. He just didn't visibly show it.
And on that note, we're going to catch right back up on that. But we got to take a break right here on Cheap Pops Radio, Coast to Coast, sponsored by JMT Shirts and Ryan Shaw's Cartoon U. The following have been paid for by JMT Shirts.
It's your boy, Jaime Martinez, and I am the owner of JM T-Shirts. I have a large inventory of WWF, ECW, WCW, and hard-to-find shirts from Mexico and Japan. So if you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other Twitter at JM T-Shirts, and or Jaime Martinez. And if you can hit me up on those, hit my eBay store at JM T-Shirts, and go buy a shirt.
Buy the shirt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pops Radio, Coast to Coast. The Unabomber. He's currently at Harvard. He's in a research experiment for interrogation, and the interrogator would cut him down the whole time.
Yes.
Oh, you think you're smart? I really don't think you're smart, Ted. You've had these opportunities and you've blown them all. And then Ted is, you can hear Ted's voice. Like, why are you saying this to me? Like,
Yes.
Like, I've worked my hardest, like, my IQ, and he was a smart motherfucker. He was a smart guy, excuse the language.
No, but
we're PG here.
It's true though. He was. You could hear the anger in his responses, and the interrogator. It was just his job to break him down. He would say, "Oh, that answer clearly shows that this subject is unstable in his thinking, and just anything to nitpick and pull him apart." And it would drive most people absolutely insane.
He's like he's a narcissist.
He is.
The interrogator is
Yes.
straight up narcissist.
Straight up narcissist.
And Ted Kaczynski dealt with that for 3 years.
Yes. 3 years in that study.
And then, at some point after that 3 years, he gets a job working with his brother, just enough to save enough money to get him a little cabin in Montana.
Yeah. So this was about, I believe, 1969 that he abandoned his studies. He's a mathematician. Guy's a genius, and he leaves it all behind to live a simpler life, and he goes with his brother first to try to work things out with him and just kind of figure out his lot in life, I guess. And then I guess that kind of crashed and burned, right?
Yeah, it crashed and burned. He ended up wanting to go live in Montana with no lights. No civilization. I don't even think he had a bathroom.
No, he lived in the wilderness, and he had this little shack that actually, if I'm not mistaken, the cabin is still intact and in a museum. I don't know.
Yes, it's in a museum. I believe so.
Yeah,
the Smithsonian.
I think so. Yeah, it's all intact. You can look at it. I would love to check that out one day after all this,
At some point, once he got captured and they wanted to investigate it,
yes.
They ended up just sending helicopters there and picking the cabin up and bringing it back to the lab.
Yes, and another thing that was mentioned in that documentary that I think is worth noting was how he kind of screwed with his neighbors and people that passed through the woods. I mean, there were people riding, ATVs?
Oh, yes.
Motorcycles. Those were like clear warning signs. This guy is unstable, but he's a genius the way he messed with people.
Oh, yeah. The four-wheeler guys, what he actually did with them is, in the middle of the night, I guess they weren't there. They were doing their riding. He actually went over there with an axe and cut an entrance.
Yep.
Not just one hole in the wall.
No.
He actually used an axe, cut out a new door for them.
Yes.
You know what
terrifying.
I mean? Imagine coming home to that.
No, I can't. And then, you know, his encounter with the little girl that was his neighbor was chilling. And then as well, breaking into people's garages or storage sheds.
Steal parts for his
to
bombs.
steal parts for his bombs. And he he had explosions in the woods that people heard from duds and things like that. It's just unreal.
And when he started off doing it, all of his bombs were rudimentary.
Yes.
Like, he was still learning it.
Yes.
And, you know, the first few he sent actually didn't accomplish anything.
No. Most of the bombs he sent didn't do much damage. They injured people, but they didn't kill. Only 3 people were killed in the nearly 20 years that he did this.
And nearly all of his targets were scientists.
Yes.
Or, you know, ecological kind of guys, technology guys that hurt ecology.
Yeah. The airline
one of them was
industry.
an Exxon guy.
Yeah.
I mean, all of his targets, he didn't pick with, you know, oh, I hate this man because he did this to me.
No, it was all technological and environmental.
He was staging his own revolt.
Yes.
And, you know, at first he flopped it up. And, you know, when they actually went through and he kept a diary, but he kept a diary in code.
Yep.
And when they actually uncoded that, you know, you could read how he was unsatisfied with himself because, you know, he was botching the bombs.
Yes. He totally was, and you could see the evolution in the components that he made, and then how it evolved into a little. They had more potency, and they were a little more lethal. But the main thing is the guy was trying to stir up the industries that he loathed, the airline industry, who else? We were talking about Exxon. All these companies that did damage to the environment or technology that's damaging humanity in his eyes.
And there was one that was actually a psychologist.
Yes.
I think that was a personal nature. I think that was him getting back at the world for having to deal with Harvard.
That's exactly what I think it was. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, that's exactly what he was after. It was a personal vendetta that he was hoping would pick up and gain followers, I think, with the manifesto that was released later in the mid-90s, I believe.
And then he actually, I want to say it was 83 or 84. Well, he actually was spotted while planting the bomb.
Yeah.
He was spotted by a young lady that was at work, and who actually was, I think it was a retail store of some kind.
Yes.
And it was a computer shop.
Yes.
It was a
I
computer
don't
shop.
remember the exact shop, but I remember hearing about this, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's where we get the composite sketch from.
Yes.
Is that description?
That famous picture of the Unabomber,
Yes.
who we thought was the Unabomber at
Yeah.
that time. I mean, it lasted for years. It's to this day in 2020, when you think Unabomber, you see that picture.
Fool looked like a broke down Johnny Holmes.
But you know, after that, he took a 10-year break.
He did.
He was
did.
gone for so long that the government actually thought, well, it's possible he's dead.
Yeah.
Or he got arrested for something completely different.
You know, it's amazing how methodical this guy was. He's able to stop for 10 years. Most people that are on rampages like that, they can't stop. They're addicted to it.
I think he got scared.
He did. He had to. But it's amazing. You look at this is unrelated, but it's similar because he used code as well. The Zodiac killings. We'll
Yes.
talk about that in another episode sometime. But it's the same thing. He took some years off, and then here he is in the mid-70s doing it once more, writing code just to tease people like, I'm back. Here I am. Decipher this stuff. And I mean, it's amazing the ingenuity these guys have. And I'm not worshiping them. I'm just blown away at how smart these guys are and what they did with their smarts. They could have changed
Super Kyles. It's the Super
yes,
Kyles.
and they could have changed the world for the better, but they chose to do this stuff. It's crazy.
And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we'll be right back here on Cheap Pops Radio, Coast to Coast.
Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with Weird and Gilly and the Spiders from Mars. He played it left hand, but made it too far. Became the special man, then we were Ziggy's band. Ziggy really sang, screwed up eyes and screwed down hairdo, like some cat from Japan. He could lick 'em by smiling, he could leave them to hang. They came on so loaded, man, well hung in snow white tan. So where were the spiders while the fly tried to break our bones? Or just the beer like to guide us? So we bitched about his fans and should we crush his sweet hands. Oh. Ziggy played for time, jiving us that we were voodoo. The kids were just crass, he was the Nas with God-given ass. He took it all too far, but boy could he play guitar. Making love with his ego, Ziggy sucked up into his mind, like a lever messiah. When the kids had killed a man, I had to break up the band. Oh yeah. Ziggy played guitar.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pops Radio, coast to coast, going back to the Unabomber. He's had his 10-year layoff. He makes his big comeback, and it was a plane. It was a plane bomb.
Yes.
It didn't kill anybody, and he was dissatisfied with it.
Yeah.
But it's like the world is like, oh, holy fuck, he's back. The Unabomber's back, and he's blowing up planes now.
Thank goodness this guy didn't like the internet, because he could have easily gone on the internet to look up some components to make a pretty powerful bomb.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he was doing everything from textbooks.
Yes. All the books that man read. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be somebody with that capacity mentally. Imagine all the synapses firing in your brain. You got all these equations hitting you. You got all these theories, and then all these thoughts you have about the way technology has ruined man and it's the downfall of society, which there is a lot of truth. If you ever read his manifesto, it's long. You can look it up on Wikipedia. There are a lot of truths in what he says. And of course, as any terrorist, though, their methods are just all out of whack, though, the way they want to achieve this stuff.
Just imagine that life. Imagine the life that he lived.
No.
No lights, no internet, no TV. It's just him by himself in the dark.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a couple lamps. He had to have a couple lamps, to have lights.
Maybe oil lamps or kerosene.
He had to have something to make the bombs. You have to be able to see.
Yeah, unbelievable. And if you look at how he was taken in when he was arrested, I mean, he's caked in layers of dirt. He had to reek, and his hair, he's sunken in eyes. I mean, he looked a damn mess. I'm looking at him right now. I'm gonna close my browser window How it
I mean,
actually, 'cause that's hard to look at.
He looked nothing like the actual picture
Nothing
of the
at all.
Unabomber.
And then when you see that picture of him in the documentary, when he's in his own words, and the reporter that did have the fortune of interviewing him, he looked completely different. He's well fed. He's in prison. He's more he's less active, I'm assuming, because he's just sitting in a cell all day long. But he looks completely different than the guy that they picked up. That outdoor life, that's no joke.
And his actual downfall was, he hated his sister-in-law. They never got along, right? Him and his brother were really good friends.
Yeah, and he has even more reason to hate her.
Yeah, exactly. And but he was sending, these letters to his brother.
Yeah.
Talking about, all this craziness. He was at his mom's house, and, he's got a habit of having a journal. Yes. The Unabomber, for some reason, is one of the only men in society who had to have a journal, believe it or not.
It's
what
bizarre.
I mean? Exactly. It's bizarre.
The way this guy's mind works, it's
Dear diary, I'm going to send a plane bomb today.
Why?
It doesn't make sense.
I don't know, but there's so many people that commit crimes that do that kind of stuff. It's weird.
Brother, God rest, his brother. Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah.
When his wife comes to him, and he's like, David, Ted's the Unabomber.
Yeah.
No, not my brother. No. It is. Your brother's the Unabomber. Look at the writings.
And he knew he had a choice to make.
The Unabomber's downfall was sending those letters to his family, having diaries, and then sending the same stuff to the newspapers and having them publish it.
Yes, and that's what roasted him. And after his brother agreed that that is Ted, he severed the relationship. They haven't spoken since. It's over.
No, he turned his brother in. Yeah, after he found the diary at his mom's.
Yeah.
And then he ended up matching the manifesto that the Unabomber had forced them to post. And let's talk about that, the manifesto, and all the decisions that went into actually, putting that out on the papers.
Yes.
Because the cops and the government told them don't do it.
Yeah.
Because you've got this dilemma. Okay, this guy wants to post this, and you're going to have all the Kyles of the world.
Yeah, you're giving them a voice.
You're giving the Kyles a voice, which you should never give Kyle a voice.
Man, if you think about this, it's almost like real life comic book stuff. It's like the Joker.
Is.
It's like the Joker taking over the airwaves. Do you let him, or do you let half of Gotham get blown up? It's
exactly. And the newspapers are like, well, he's telling us, we have to do this.
Yeah.
If we don't, we're going to have a bomb in our building.
Yep.
And they don't want that. So they actually went against the government, the police and the FBI, and they actually published it. And once that was published, David puts, 2 and 2 together with his brother's diary, of all things. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it's hard to deny now. My brother's the Unabomber.
It's just, it's a story that will never be replicated again. You get the typical crimes like bank robbery or all that type of stuff, but this guy's on a whole nother playing field. It's an amazing story, and I just can't believe it actually happened. More than anything. The code. Code. How do you even decipher that? It's amazing.
It takes a lot of people, and they actually said the Unabomber investigation was the most expensive investigation.
I believe it.
In government history.
I believe it.
The chase for this one mountain man who keeps a diary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy. So, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go into the actual capture of the Unabomber. We'll be right back here on Cheap Pops Radio, Coast to Coast.
This is your favorite artist, Ryan Shaw with Cartoon U. Your place for custom art, cartoons, fan art, wrestling art, caricatures, and logos. Make your biz pop with some awesome art or just give it as a cool gift. Check me out on Twitter at cartoon_u, Facebook at cartoonu, my website cartoon-u.com. Use promo code CheapPops19 at checkout for 15% off your order. Oh yeah!
For collar east of the Rockies, call 1-800-CHEAP-POP. For collar west of the Rocky, call 1-800-CHEAP-POP. For international collar, call 1-800-CHEAP-POP. And finally, for the wild card line, $20 man favorite line, call 1-800-CHEAP-POP.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pops Radio, coast to coast. Thomas the Hitman Barnes, Ryan Shaw. So now we're at, fast forward, the Unabomber sister-in-law turns him in, or his brother.
That bitch.
That bitch. Yeah, she turns him in with the exchange and the agreement that, Ted won't get the death penalty.
That's right.
So they go through, they talk to all of Ted's neighbors, and Ted's neighbors are like, wow, the crazy mountain guy? Really? No way. Yeah. They couldn't believe it. So they go in there, they get a warrant to search his cabin.
Yep.
But they know this guy's a bomber, right? Yes. So they're not sure what he's got. They know from talking to his neighbors that he carries around a rifle. Mm-hmm. So they know he's got firepower. Is this guy going to fight us? Is this guy going to come peacefully?
Are the premises booby trapped? That'd be one thing I'd think about, with this guy.
They actually had one of his neighbors walk around with a camera so they could get the layout of the area around the cabin.
Yeah. It's amazing that this guy, without the help of the sister-in-law figuring out that, hey, Ted wrote this stuff, how long this could have gone on. I mean, how long do you think it could have gone? I mean,
it would have went on forever. He would have never got caught because he did it in a way. Most people, when they kill people, do it from passion or rage, hatred.
True. Most of the time, you know the people.
And when you're pissed off, you make mistakes. You don't think about it. Mm-hmm. You're mad. You kill a dude.
It's true.
A dude makes you mad. You cut him.
Yeah.
And you leave mistakes. You leave behind a trail.
Yes.
But the Unabomber did not have connections to anyone that he killed.
No.
Or anyone that he tried to bomb. He went after people that were hurting the ecology of Earth.
Yes.
He was Team Green.
He went after the industries that he thought were just destroying the planet. And that was a travesty to him. And man, the guy, like I said earlier, can you imagine what he could have accomplished if he had just been in the other direction? There's no telling what we'd have right now on our hands.
That's the common thing with all the Super Kyles.
Yep.
I mean, they're brilliant, they're smart, they could get a lot done.
It's true. It's
now,
true.
Imagine put yourself in the head of one of these deputies, one of these marshals that are walking up to the Unabomber's cabin.
Yes.
They got to be freaking out. I would be freaking out.
Oh, I can't even imagine the adrenaline. When I think about these U.S. Marshals and ATF agents, we need to talk about Waco sometime. That'd be another good subject. The adrenaline, I guess they condition themselves. But, I mean, just when crazy stuff goes down in front of me, I mean, my heart starts pumping. I just can't. The Unabomber, you potentially have the Unabomber in your sights, and you're going up to him to apprehend him. You don't know what he has on him, what's around you that can kill you. And here it is. You're part of history. You're catching this guy. I can't imagine that feeling.
Oh, and when you hear the Unabomber, they didn't come up there looking like the FBI.
No.
Or like the cops. They tried to have a normal look.
Yeah.
So not to alarm him because they didn't want to get bombed.
No.
Who wants to get bombed?
No way. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that they had to go to those lengths for one man. One man. It wasn't a compound. It wasn't a crazy deranged cult. This was one guy, and they decided to change their modus operandi on one man. That's amazing.
A mountain man who keeps a diary at that.
Yeah, and doesn't shower like some guy with tape around his glasses. It's crazy, dude. I mean, it's just, there's, like, I'm going to keep saying this all episode. There is not going to be anything like this ever again. We live, we came from an amazing century. 20th century was just the century that springboarded us to where we are now, but it was all in a massive just acceleration from the time we took flight to where we are now. It's crazy to see. And Unabombers, he was trying to stop a lot of that. He's trying to stifle it. Look what you're doing to the planet. Look what you're doing to humanity, was his message.
And you know, when they actually got to the cabin, it was anticlimactic. You know, they were imagining all these scenarios where you open the door, bomb goes off.
No.
Open, pull up the bed, oop, bomb goes off.
No.
He walks right out. Okay, guys, you got it.
Yeah, it's just the calmest thing ever.
He didn't try to fight.
No incident at all.
Because he's smart. He knew they would kill him.
Yeah, he's outnumbered.
He knew they were going to kill him if he even made a move.
And he somehow, I guess he just felt the need that my life has value. I need to live still.
Because his motivations were never impure.
No.
While his tactics we're not
They were.
condoning it.
No, not at all.
His motivations were to save the world.
He thought he was doing what was best. He's the typical madman that's a genius.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, I hate to go to comics, but it's kind of like the Joker route, you know. Like, I think, and I hate to bring fiction into it, but it's a way that a lot of people can relate to real life situations. You look at The Dark Knight, and the Joker had the two sets of the fairies separated from each other. One had the inmates, the other one had the people. He's like, look at this madness. Is his way, it was his FU to society. Look at you animals. And it didn't work out. Same with this guy. Is this FU to technology and industry that's destroying this planet.
But that shows his mind.
Yes.
He wasn't about to, die.
No.
And they get him, it's anticlimactic, and then he goes to jail. He doesn't fight it.
No.
I think he actually may have fired his lawyer.
I think he did.
Because his lawyer went for, the insanity defense.
Yeah, you're exactly right on this, and he was pissed.
Yeah, he got so mad because the minute that you call him crazy, his character and everything he's done,
he was legit pissed.
He was mad because it makes it worthless.
And he decided right then and there, I'm going to plead guilty to this. No, there's no way you're going to list me as criminally insane.
Because his manifesto stands. And if you read it today, it stands because we think he's smart. If it went down in history that he was a nutcase or a nut job, which he
is, but you can be a nut job and be a genius.
Yes, but the insanity plea takes away from that.
It takes away from his.
Right now, he's a martyr.
Yes.
You take that martyrdom from him by calling him insane.
And if I remember correctly in the documentary, he had that one guy that was a supporter. I don't remember the guy's name, but he was like, "Oh yeah, Ted." He still talks to Ted, corresponds with him.
The anarchist guy.
Yeah, the anarchist guy. Yeah, and but if you look at every madman or evil genius, they have a following. If it's small, they still have it. I mean, Charles Manson had followers all the way. Still does, but he had it all the way till. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I tried to write to the guy, not because I wanted to follow him, but I am obsessed with the mentality of these guys.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Amazing. I just want to know. I want to get in their heads, and that's why I love talking about this kind of stuff.
And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to take a break and be right back here on Cheap Pop's Coast to Coast.
How can I explain when there are few words I can choose? How can I explain when words get broken?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here at Cheap Pop's Coast to Coast. Thomas, the Hitman Barnes, and Ryan Shaw. Now we're going to go back. The Unabomber was captured in 1995.
96.
96.
Yeah, but he quit his killings in 95 was the last one.
So,
recorded.
Looking at what we know now in 2020, 25 years later roughly, was the Unabomber right? You know, all of his things about technology was going to ruin the world. You know, nowadays you go, you know, before social distancing was a thing, you would go to the restaurant, you would see a whole family of 4 on their phone waiting for their food.
Yeah.
And that's what the Unabomber was against.
He really
He
was.
kept saying that, you know, technology is the enemy of the family.
Yeah.
Technology is the enemy of the state. Technology will ruin the world. And a lot of people say that it has.
I would have to agree with a lot of instances of that. And the sad thing is that a lot of us depend on it. My business depends on it. I mean, 90+% of my business is done on my phone.
Well, this show.
This show's done, yeah.
This show is on the internet.
Everything, but then I see his point, you know, it destroys the family. You look at the people on their phones, kids are more socially awkward than ever. They can't even, they have zero attention spans. And it's amazing to see what technology's done because it's created this, it's weird. You got the social media aspect on it, which I call a necessary evil if you want to be relevant in today's
society.
You have to have it. But at the same time,
it's all about those followers.
Yeah, oh man. And you see how toxic it is at the same time. And you see what, it's just crazy to see where it's all gone in that short amount of time.
Well, especially when you look at, you know, the current state of the world.
Yeah.
You know, with quarantine.
Yep.
And it's nice being able to, you know, you're stuck, you can't go anywhere. It's nice to turn on Netflix and watch a documentary. Mm-hmm. It's nice to go back in time and watch JFK. It's nice to go back in time on the WWE Network and see, 25 years of the game. Happy anniversary,
Yeah.
Triple H.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
When wrestling was actually wrestling.
Yes,
It's pretty cool.
it's
Yeah.
nice, but we talked about the last episode with Kennedy, and how the world was more colorful and vibrant, and
Yes.
people talked, people were one. Nowadays, we're one through a server that runs in binary code.
Yes, it's just amazing to see, and then you get into the whole deal with Edward Snowden.
Mm-hmm.
That's another aspect to look at it. What it did is it unleashed an avalanche of surveillance on us that was unprecedented. And the thing that disturbs me about it all is when Snowden, and this is still tied into technology, and we're not trying to go too off key here or off subject, but when Snowden raised the alarm bell on how much technology the government's surveilling on us, and they permeated all our surveillance, no one even cared. They couldn't even tell you who Edward Snowden is now if you asked them.
No, and
No
that's
one
the thing.
cared.
People don't pay attention.
No, they don't. They just give me my reality TV, my phone.
People pay attention to
iPad.
Trump because he's entertaining.
Yes.
They love to hate him.
Yes, or
Just
they
like
love to
Roman
love 'em.
Reigns.
There's no yes.
Just like Rome, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I'll never forget being at WrestleMania 32 and seeing all those middle fingers and boos, and I'm like, these people love this shit.
Oh yeah.
I was booing too. I ain't gonna lie.
I booed Roman. It's just fun.
But
it's
that's
fun to boo Roman Reigns.
But going back into the Unabomber, it's almost like he was prophetic. He raised the alarm bells. I don't agree with his methods. But
This is the world that he saw, that he fought from happening.
yeah, that manifesto was his JFK speech.
It was.
It
It
was.
was. And it's a good read if you ever have time to read it.
Oh,
It's
it's-
not condoning.
No, not at all. But
It's just, but when you look back, 25 years later, global warming,
yes,
and with all of us locked down, the earth is actually repairing itself.
yes. Have you seen the waters in Venice? I mean,
There's no smog in California.
animals are taking over. And I used to
Yes.
laugh at that Discovery Channel show that say when humans disappear, and it has all the animals taking over the planet. I used to laugh at that. Now
It's happening.
It's actually happening. There's coyotes wandering the streets, mountain lions, there's deer. I mean, everything's taken. No one's out there to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, all the humans are put in our rooms. We're effectively grounded.
We are our own worst enemy and the Earth's worst enemy.
And the earth is the earth took its time, but it got its receipt.
It did.
And
It's punching us back big time.
It is, and the earth is repairing itself in the process, which is interesting. And like we said, this was the world that Ted Kaczynski saw, in 1978 when he started.
Yes, that's when he started.
And so it's like he fought this. He
Yes.
did not want this.
No.
And he's still alive. He's in the Colorado Supermax prison.
And he's probably sitting back in his cell thinking, see, I told you so, guys. What
I
did
think
I
the
tell
same
you?
thing. I
What
think
did I
the same
tell
thing.
you? And what I want to ask everybody, was he right? That's a good way to, think about it there.
With that, and on that note, we're going to leave you be. We're going to sign off. Thanks for listening to the Cheap Pops Coast to Coast. This is Thomas the Hitman Barnes signing off with Rockin' Ryan Shaw.
Don't ever do that again. Don't ever say that again.
Okay. Talk to y'all next time.
Closer behind.
gentlemen, this is Edson Baeza thanking you for listening to Cheap Pops Radio, sponsored by Cartoon U and JMT Shirts. Also, if you want to find us all across social media, look us up at Cheap Pops Radio on Twitter and Instagram. Look us up on Facebook at Cheap Pops Radio. And also, if you want to send us an email with questions or you want to know anything that's going on about the show, cheappopsradio@AOL.com.